I haven't been back here since I left. It was Upton House. It's the same site, but the school's got knocked down twice. And I've come here today because I've got a problem. My child is 12 soon, and I want to know, what do I say to my child about race? So let me give you some context. I've been on BBC Radio London now, this is my 19th year, and I have spoken about race more this 1 year than in the entire 18 years before. I haven't told my child how to answer the police. I've told my child that he can be everything he wants to be. There is absolutely no limit to what he can achieve. And I'm wondering now whether I am wrong.
I needed the help of two black men who helped to shape my thinking as a boy. Sir Keith Ejegbo was my former English teacher, and Rodney Hines, who is my oldest school friend and an award-winning journalist.
One of the books I remember reading with you, a fantastic book, Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know if you remember, George and Lenny, how many times the N-word is said in that book. Now, I remember reading it, and it never even occurred to me.
Yeah,
I was so embarrassed.
We didn't have those conversations. We were talking about sport, we were talking about entertainment.
The thing that articulated race more than anything else for me personally was the relationship with the police.
Yes, I got stopped several times. But even then, I remember I knew how to handle myself. Answer the question, be polite, yeah? Don't antagonize. And that's exactly what I did. I've never lost those lessons.
So who taught you that?
That confidence came once again from school.
Came from the community of kids in the school, didn't it? The teachers had nothing really to do with that. It's taken me a long time to really work out exactly what I think about race. Because I lived in a white world, my mum said, you've got to be perfectly good. If you're not a doctor or a lawyer, you're done for. As a mixed race kid, it's going to be awful.
If you had a child today, would you talk differently to your child about race to what you did?
Yeah, I'd be much more open about it.
There will be people, I imagine, watching, listening, who think, well, why do you need to have a chat about race? We just get together.
Because you're trying to shape the future. And in fact, what you're doing, you're hoping that when his time comes, he can handle it in the same way, if not better than you did.
I hadn't really thought about those conversations for my son's generation. Dean Pimble is a dad and the Welsh manager for the UK's largest anti-racism charity, Show Racism the Red Card. And part of the work they do is to go into schools around the country and talk to children about race. What you're about to hear next is shocking.
As low as year 3, we've heard children using racist terms.
So that's 8.
Yeah, 8 years old. And that's the P word, the N word, and directing it at other children within their school. We talk about the history behind the words, but also why they shouldn't be used. That we're not preaching at them. We find out what their opinion is, and then we'll say, well, that may be your opinion. Have you thought of this? And listen to them. I think that's really important.
If my child has been called something, because that would hurt me, is there advice? Is there guidance?
Yeah, I think it starts with saying to the children, it's not you, it's the person that's saying it to you, is the person that's in the wrong. And certainly making sure that you report it to the appropriate person, whether that be the police, the school, or local authority, whoever it be.
Are you confident that things are getting better as a result of the conversation being had more generally?
Very good question. Is it getting better? Is it being highlighted more? So does it look like it's getting worse at the moment? Was it happening before that? 100%. Hopefully in 25 years there's no need for my position, and I haven't got a job in this organisation anymore because racism has been eradicated. Am I confident that's going to happen? Probably not.
You still be a dad though?
100%.
I needed to know if I was the only one finding these conversations difficult. I needed to talk to other dads. So back to London, where I meet Elliot Ray, the founder of Music, Football, Fatherhood, a platform for men which focuses on parenting, and he brought some of his dad friends with him.
You know, already my youngest son, about 2 years ago, someone in his class said, "You're not from here, are you?" At that time, the conversation that I had with him wouldn't be the conversation I would have with him about it now, because 6, he was way too young.
Age appropriate.
Yeah.
For me, it would be negligent of me not to talk to my child about race. They're not conversations about racism, but it's conversations about difference. And it's targeted to her just loving herself.
My son's too young for me to have those conversations with him, but he's at an age where everything is framed as good guys and bad guys. If we see the police, I make a point of, if they make eye contact, I'll say good morning, good afternoon, because I don't want him to be afraid.
You know, suddenly you've got me thinking about colour, and because my wife is white Irish, actually my kids look white. Well, my kids have a privilege, and I have that in the sense that I'm not worried about race when I send them to school.
What does a white guy say to a white kid about racism?
I've talked about racism to my kids. I've said it, fundamentally wrong. I think it's a terrible thing. Now I'm finding my son is saying things like, well, all this Black Lives Matter, it's everywhere, it's all the time. One of the things I try and do is ask them questions, getting them to think for themselves about it. It certainly worked with both of my kids.
Talking about race all the time is quite stressful. Like, I want her to prepare her for the world, but at the same time, I want her to just be.
I'm really glad that other people are finding conversations about race difficult, because then it isn't just me. What I think I've realised from today is actually quality time is going to be important. I've focused on the role of fathers in all of this, but the other person in this story is the boss lady, my wife and mother of our children, Lisa.
We are lucky we've got each other. We are both on a journey of learning. What I've come to realise as a parent is how much negativity is on the news, and you've got the children in the back of the car and you're hearing about gun crime, suicides, Black Lives Matter, people getting killed, and how that impacts our children. And I've just had to make the decision that we have to turn that radio off. I remember Kai saying to me, Mum, why did they kill that guy? And that was the moment that I realised that I would have to tell Kai about the colour of his skin, and about, you kind of look at your kid and you want them to be innocent, and you realise that you've got to have the conversation with them that because of the way that they look, that things may well be different. And it's really hard. You hear people saying it, but till you actually have to do it, it's difficult. And so you want to keep them as innocent as you can. And I just had to explain to him that all police aren't bad. You don't want to have an influence on his opinions. He's got to go out and learn what he thinks for himself, but you also have to try to be real.
It's real, if I'm honest with you. There are going to be a lot of times when I'm not there. It's a maternal home. So conversations that we have around how they are influenced, really important, because you're the one who's going to have to do it, if I'm honest with you, quite a lot of the time. But I'm in it, obviously I'm in it. They're not better versions of us, they're better versions of themselves. And the one thing that I think more than anything else I've realised through making this is I can't impose as a parent. Those days are gone. Now I have to talk to him.